Down here in Madison, Indiana today at the Madison Apiary. It's about 48 degrees. I really don't like to get in this cold, but I'm going to be going out of town for a couple weeks and I won't be back here for about a month. We got bees flying, so they're getting plenty of sun. We're going to get in and examine these hives. Be back in a minute. The first hive we're getting into, got a little problem here because they're eating into the sugar syrup and they're exploding into the upper box here. Into my, it warped on me and didn't stay shut, so I'll get in a little deeper. Maybe we'll take that off today. Okay, so this hive's looking really good. I don't want to break up the cluster too much because we're going to have some cold weather come in here in the next couple days. But I just want to show you this brood on this box. It's looking great. Probably going to put a little pollen patty on top of it. But there we go. Look at that brood pattern. I'm not going to look for the queens today. Just want to do a quick look into all these hives. Make sure they're brooding up well. I'll probably put a small pollen patty on top of this just to help with that little cold snap that's coming in. And we'll be back with you in just a minute. Okay, so getting to the second hive here. It's got plenty of honey still. I'm going to put this back on and take this box off. Look down at the next box real quick. Bees got a little anxious on me. Extraneous motion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this off here. Easy. A lot of weight on this. Get in the second box here. We got a lot of empty frames. Which is good because they can plenty of room to expand. This frame isn't drawn out from last fall, so they can work on that. Bring in some pollen in there. Looks like it might be dandelion because it's orange. You think dandelion pollen is yellow, but once the bees wet it, it turns orange. Let's take a quick glance at this next frame. Oh yeah, there's our brood. Just a little bit on both sides. Looks like it's emerging brood. Bees are looking good. I'll give this one a small pollen patty to help them over these next few cold days. What I like to do is I keep a knife in my box and I take these pollen patties, just cut them, and then score them. On both sides. Stick this back in here. I have to squish any bees. Tear it up, squish it down a little bit. Lay it into place here. You want your pollen patties above your brood, so they don't have to go that far to get their food. I take my frame rest off. And that puff of smoke here, get them off the edge. And put food right back on top. Our inner cover back on. And that concludes this hive. I'll be back with you shortly. Okay, so we're in the 4th hive now, and bees are clustered up here up top. This is a honey super on top. I'm hoping they haven't gotten into it yet with any brood. I'll pop this open here. It really propalized this. There we go. Didn't like that. See all flew up. You can check the underneath there. Very propalized. It's got some good weight to it still. And you can see they started drawing burr comb in between, but they haven't laid any eggs in there yet, which is great because I don't want any brood in between the frames. And I'm going to pop this out here. It's a frame they put in here last year. Got it marked as 23. Sometimes I forget to mark the frames, and then I have to wonder what year I put it in. We're going to pull this out. Yeah, this, you can see this is all pretty new comb. Looks like it probably had 1 round of brood in it, as it got a little colored there. They're starting to store some pollen in there. And then this side you can see it still has honey in it. So that's great. Let's just set it off to the side here real quick. Push over into the next frame. Let's see if we can find any brood. Yep, there's some drone brood at the bottom there. Got a little bit of brood on this side. Oh, we got a drone emerging right here. Digs its way out. And you can tell the drone brood from regular brood because it's coned. It's a little bit bigger. You know, these holes are bigger over here, and these are smaller, so these will be worker bees when they come out. Nurse bees, when they first come out, they'll clean out their own cell. So we're going to stick this back in. You can see how much propolis they had here, how much it stretched up there. I pried the box apart. This is a nice strong hive. We got a little more brood here.
Looks like we have a queen cup on the bottom.
Yep. Yeah, little queen cup that they're starting here. 1 here and 1 there. So if I let this go too long into April, they'll draw into queens and swarm on me. I'm going to find a big frame of brood here before I close this back up. Keep moving along here. Try to move nice and slow and gentle, trying not to crack them up too much. It's kind of a spotty brood pattern. I'm not really liking that. Might be an older queen. I try not to kill my queens and replace them, but I might try that this year. So you go into fall with a stronger queen, and then the second year, so she would be a first year queen, and the second year they seem to do a lot better. I do have a couple 3rd year queens. Yeah, I think this might be queen. This will be her 4th year because this is a blue dot I have on my box here. I had some green dots from before. Try and mark those out. We had yellow was 2 years ago, and red was last year, and this year's color is green. It's just a small little brood pattern, but it's still a pretty strong hive. So I'm not sure what's going on. A lot of bees here. But I should have plenty of time because there's still lots of food. I'm bringing stuff in before the queen's failing. They might turn into a laying worker or laying workers. That's no fun. There's some regular brood there. Oh, there's a drone. Let's see if we can get on that. Let's see here. This big fat bee here is a drone. It's not the queen. So I think we're going to have an early swarming season. But yeah, we got brood in here, so I'm going to let this one go for now because it still has a lot of bees. That's what I like to see. I'm just going to put this back together. I'm going to put a small pollen patty on top of this one. Smash it down a bit. Try to get more surface area open for them. I'm just going to set that nice and gentle here. Slide this frame back in. Kind of let it sink down in, light pressure. Try not to press too hard. Then you get to a point where you do have to, because so much propolis on this one. Alright, we'll see you in the next hive. Okay, so now we're in to my 4/4 frames, and this one I have triple high. Unlike the one I had at home, I only had 2 deeps. Well, my one side survived and my other side died. This one, having the 3rd deep on it, I think helped having the extra 4 frames. There's still honey on this frame that they're working on. Lots of honey there still. Should be enough food to last them.
Your arm.
Huh?
I just said your arm was in the camera.
And then we got some brood going on this frame here. Pull it up. Yeah, and these guys propolize this back in really big, really well. So there's still plenty of honey on here. You can see the nice brood pattern. Go on this side. Nice brood pattern there. They're just brooding up, so I'm going to take this box off and put a small pollen patty in between the frames, between the boxes. They haven't drawn this side at all, so that'll give them a little room to draw into. Take this off. Take this off. Pop this out. A couple more frames they haven't drawn yet. Pull this out. Now it's wax. They got room to expand onto it here. Set that to the side. We got one with some red pollen on the side here. You can see that. Get down to this next box, next frame. You can see brood pattern. This is a very good brood pattern. More red pollen coming in there. You can see that. Switch sides here. Nice brood pattern. And then the next frame is full of brood. You can see that on the camera there. So my wife zooms in here, Anita. Alright. Put this back together and we'll probably see you on the other side here. We have 3 more hives on the other side of the pond here. We'll get into that in a minute. I'm gonna go 3, 2, yeah. Ready?
Good.
Okay. All right, we found the queen in the second 4/4 hive. She's right there. This hive's a lot weaker. I don't know if she started laying yet. I don't see any brood. in that frame. Set that back in here gently. Get into the next frame. See what we can find here real quick. There's our brood right there. All that brood. It's looking good. So I'm just going to close this back up real quick. Put a small pollen patty on and let them do their thing. Wait until April. Thanks for watching.
Okay.
So this is the other 3 hives we have on the other side. About maybe 50, 60 yards away from the other ones. They were too close to my buddy's cabin, so he didn't want them there. So we moved them over here. And a lot of activity going on. Little pollen. We're going to pop into this first hive. See what we got going on. Okay, so we're in the middle hive over on the other stand here, and this is a frame that was drawn out last year in 23. And on top here we have some larvae, probably drone brood that was in between the frames. Empty on this side, a little bit of honey. But we got some colorful pollen going on here. You can catch a glimpse of that. I angle it in the sunlight. Some red, some yellow, orangish looking pollens. And then on the next frame, we have our brood. Lemon brood in both the deep and the medium. Nice brood pattern there. Some drone brood out here on the side. This hive's going along quite well. Stick it back together here. You can see these are getting a little angry. They're not stinging me. You can see in this area here, with some fur comb and how they draw the brood up in between. Some drone brood going on here. I'm going to stick this pollen patty right in between there. I'm going to squeeze these frames together. Put our extra frames in. Gently lay those back on top. Alright. Put my queen excluder back on here that I had. I had newspaper in between and filled it with sugar. They already ate all that sugar. So I'm just going to throw that on here. Put my little foamy on top that put on top there. Insulation. And throw this back on top. And that's the end of this hive. We'll wait and see what it looks like in April. Alright, so the last hive here in Madison. This is the foamy again. Ian Stepler talks about. I think Cayman does the same thing. Cayman Reynolds. Still a little bit of sugar on top of here. Bees can get to. I ran out of shims, or I didn't have any shims, and I thought this queen excluder was pretty good. So I just put newspaper down below and then put this on top, and it seemed to work pretty well. So it was a nice move for last second thought. The bees are doing well up here. I'm just going to pull one frame out real quick. See what's going on. Gently. I haven't smoked these bees yet. I try not to smoke my bees if I don't have to. Try to hopefully be gentle just by light handling. Yep, we got brood up here in the honey super. But that's okay, because it's what I leave it on here for, so they can get into the honey. Make sure they have plenty of stores for the winter. Nothing worse than losing a hive to starvation. I think that's the most devastating thing for me when I lose a hive, is that's something I could have taken care of myself. I could have gave them extra food. We can put this back together. We'll clean out the super in the spring. After April here, we'll put the queen excluder below if there's any drone brood in it. We'll leave a gap for the drones to get out. And, the one hive in my backyard starved out because it was only the 4/4, and I didn't have a third story on it. I shorted them food. And but my other hives that I lost were too few bees, and I only lost 5 hives out of the 32 that I had going into winter. I was pretty happy with that. Pretty much on par with what happened last year. I had 20 hives and I lost 3, so I'm real happy with this year. We'll see you over at the farm.